All right, we're excited to get started. Thanks for everybody joining us. We are going to be talking today about the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences at Rutgers and how it connects with your interest in careers in health areas. This may have a wide-ranging scope, but we're going to talk with you about our majors, how they fit into those plans that you have, and hopefully take a lot of good questions. My name is Julie Traxler. I'm the Associate Dean in the Office of Academic Programs at SEBS. I'm also a health professions advisor. So I work with students at all points in their time at Rutgers in planning out specifically health careers that involve going to medical school, dental, chiropractic, optometry, some of the allied health professions. So we'll certainly talk in depth about those today. Joining me today are three of the assistant deans from my office and advisors as well. So I'm going to throw to them and ask them to introduce themselves to you as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Serafina Smith, an assistant dean from the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. Very glad to meet you all today and to answer your questions. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome, everyone. Joe Ventolo, I'm an assistant dean at the SCBS, and I'm also one of the bio advisors. Welcome to SCBS and Rutgers, and hope everyone's well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dean Leanne Pachera. I'm also assistant dean here at SEBS. It's nice to have you all here. Welcome.
All right, so you're in good hands. We're going to have a lot of fun to get to talk about your options. I've already seen some great questions, but let's talk a little bit about some of the options, because the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences offers you a lot of great options. Because we are the intersection of really human health with the planet and all the interconnectedness of environmental health, thinking about sustainability. So we know that we have some great major options for you, and that will help you think about majors and minors and then careers beyond. So let's jump to the next slide. One of the things we like you thinking about is not necessarily exactly what you're going to do. What we want you to know is that you may not know what major you're going to do or what necessarily the health careers you're interested in are going to become. But we are a great place to start off and get a sense of what your options are. So it's perfectly fine if you've come to us and you're not quite sure what your major is going to be. We're a terrific place for undecided students who know that they have a strong interest in the sciences and in health careers, but they're not quite sure how that's going to manifest, what majors they might do, or maybe you're someone who just has a ton of interest and you're not quite sure how that's going to work. We like to talk with you about pathways. So basically, we want to break the idea that there's one perfect major and want to connect with one specific career. What you're going to find is that a lot of our majors move in different directions. And you'll see here, there's really 4 different areas that we kind of organize our pathways for students: biology, ecology, and environment, food, nutrition, and health, planning, policy, economics, and design, and agriculture. So you'll see on the next slide, what we've done is grouped all of our different majors to show you how they they connect with the different pathways. So really, if the better and the more comfortable you can get with the idea that there isn't one perfect major to get to where you're going, whether it's medical school or clinical research. But a lot of our majors are going to give you the pathways to get there. They're going to take the core science courses that you need to succeed, but they're going to take you in some interesting directions. We do know also that you may have some exposure to some of the health professions, but we also know that college is a great time for you to really get a sense of what else is out there. What other options are there? What's really going to be the career of the future that you're interested in? So keep in mind, though, in terms of the pre-med track, pre-dent, all of the health professions, students can major in anything that they're interested in. That can range from everything from entomology to art history, with everything in between. So one of your early questions is going to be, what is that major and where is it going to take you? So let's jump to the next slide. And let's talk a little bit more about the health professions, because we do know that for a lot of you, that is kind of the plan. You may not know what the major is, or you may be trying to figure out where you're going, but you know you have a sustained interest in some sort of clinical care, working with patients. The Health Professions Office at Rutgers works with students for planning of all of those options. Now, we work as advisors with students at all of the undergraduate colleges in New Brunswick, which means on a given day for advising, I may see a SEB student or an engineering student or a pharmacy student or an arts and sciences student. So we help students at any point with any major interests in planning toward moving to something like allopathic or osteopathic medical schools, dental, optometry, podiatry, chiropractic, and physician assistant. Those are the main areas that we work with as a group, but we also do a lot of advising in allied health professions, and I'll talk a little bit about them on the way. So keep in mind when I talk about things like admissions numbers, courses you need to take, what kinds of things that the Health Professions Office offers, that those are for all students who come into Rutgers. Let's jump to the next slide and talk more about that. So one of the things I like to underscore for students early on is that, again, it's not about a major that you do or a particular volunteer work. It's about crafting your education and crafting your time in college to show all of these different competencies that you're going to want to demonstrate when you're applying to one of the health professions. So this isn't just a matter of getting strong grades, and it's not just a matter of writing your EMT, your EM squad. It's really a matter of all different things that you're going to demonstrate through a variety of courses, through a variety of extracurricular activities. So it really is about showing the medical schools, the dental schools, who you are. They're very open to the things that make sense to you, the things that are meaningful to you. So maybe that makes the question a little bit broader about what to major in. But what you're going to want to think about is, in terms of major in your coursework, you need to be taking courses that are going to show strong critical thinking skills, that you have quantitative and written skills, that your communication skills are very strong, that you know how scientific inquiry works, that how do we think about a problem? How do we begin to hypothesize about problems in our world, in our planet, in our bodies, what have you. Obviously, you need a strong science background for any of the core health careers. So that means your biology, chemistry, physics, organic chemistry. But those core sciences can fit into a lot of different majors. And in fact, they're required for quite a few of our majors. So if you're interested in microbiology, if you're interested in biochemistry, animal science, ecology, all of those majors have that same science core. So that, again, gives you that ability to come in undecided, take some coursework that you know it will head toward these health careers, but then gives you some time to figure out where you want to specialize. I also like to point out the intrapersonal and interpersonal pieces, because if you want to apply to become a health professional, you know you're going to be working with people. So you need to be able to demonstrate that you have an understanding of ethics in the world, that you can be reliable, dependable, resilient. These days particularly show us how many of our health professionals are resilient and are just amazing in the way that they're working in our world. Now you have these social skills. You have to communicate with people. You need to have cultural competence. So keep in mind, again, that preparing for a health career is not just a checklist of specific classes to take. It's integrating all of these pieces. And again, that's why advisors are here to help you. Let's jump to the next slide and look a little bit at admission stats. You will find at the Health Professions Office website, which is hpo.rutgers.edu, you'll find a connection to all of the admission stats. This is the latest set that we're displaying, or that we have comprehensive information for. I'm going to show you just a couple of quick things. On the medical school admissions applications 2019, what you're going to see is that we represent three different parameters. So under total applicants, that would be any student connected to Rutgers at all who applied, 487 applicants, 246 of them matriculated in medical programs, with about a 51% acceptance rate. But more importantly, if you shift over, you're going to see it with a cumulative GPA and what we call a competitive applicant, 3.5 to 4.0 cum. That and MCAT in a much stronger, much more competitive range, we have a much higher acceptance rate, 66%. And then BCPM is basically the biology, chemistry, physics, math GPA. So a strong GPA within those critical sciences, we have about a 74% acceptance rate. That across those numbers are higher than national averages in those same groups. You'll also see our numbers for our MCATs. What we're looking for students need to have about a 163. Oh, sorry, 163 was the total MDs. But MCAT numbers are also available on the HPO site. Similarly, with dental school, you're going to find that students in the stronger, more competitive application range, 3.5 to 4.0, is going to be a 94% acceptance rate. That's a much, much higher number than you're going to find even in similar applicants across the country. So the schools know that Rutgers is a strong program, and they know that our students come out very, very prepared. And again, if you'd like to go over these more, they are at our hpo.rutgers.edu site. Vet school, I should mention at the same time, has about an 85 to 90% acceptance rate. I don't have a slide on that, but I know a number of our students coming in are thinking health careers, thinking long-term toward vet school. So we can connect you in with Dr. Zama at our animal science department if you want to know more about those. So jumping over to the next one, we're going to kind of go back to my point about interpersonal and intrapersonal types of things. And we know that we want you to come in and be connected to our community. And a strong application to a medical program or a dental program or chiropractic is going to involve some real connections to our community. Rutgers has over 750 clubs and organizations. A good number of them are based in things like certain majors. So there's undergraduate major clubs and activities. There's also clubs and activities for students who are interested in applying. Like you'll see the Allied Health Professions Club of Rutgers. Alpha Epsilon Delta is the Health Professional Honor Society for students who are high achieving. So we do recommend that you come in, you get connected to a lot of these clubs and activities, and that'll help you both in planning your future, but also kind of understanding what you need to do to meet this next goal of an application to another school. I will also mention that there isn't one general rote set of courses or set of clubs and activities that you need to be involved in. Medical schools are happy to see students who are involved in lots of ways that are meaningful to them. So that may mean that you're captain of the ballroom dance club. That may mean that you are really excited about community service and working with alternative breaks where you're doing medical missions across the world. So keep in mind that, again, much like your coursework, the medical schools, dental schools are going to be happy to see that you've done things that make sense to you and that really help push your interests along. So let's move to the next slide. We like to emphasize research. One of the huge advantages to coming to a Research One institution is that our undergraduates have a lot of opportunities to do research as students. So we do recommend that you think about that. Here I've featured 3 research labs that are specific to our exercise science major. Exercise science comes out of the School of Arts and Sciences, but we share that major just as we share the biology major with SAS students. So this is a small group of research labs that we want to feature, but there are quite a few across all of our different departments, as well as with the medical schools. The 2 Rutgers medical schools, Robert Wood Johnson and New Jersey Medical School, will routinely take undergraduate students into their research labs. So we know those are great experiences for students. And that's really one of the best ways to demonstrate that connection to scientific inquiry. Understanding how new information is created and how we take a problem and follow it through the steps to see what kinds of solutions we can find. All right, jumping ahead. I mentioned earlier about allied health professions. And again, you may right now know that you have an interest in clinical care and working with patients, but you may not be quite sure how that's going to manifest. The nice thing is a lot of the core courses that go toward medical school dental are going to go to a lot of different areas. So you may be interested in physician assistant, you may be interested in physical therapy, athletic training, audiology. And the nice thing is when you come in for advising, we work with you to think about kind of where your interests lie and help you kind of move toward those things. Speech language pathology, occupational therapy. There's quite a few different career and options that students will focus on who really want to work clinically with patients, but maybe decide that the conventional medical school route isn't really what they want. So again, keep in mind that if you are going to a med school, dental school, the major could be anything. But conversely, if you want to work clinically with patients, there are many more options than simply going to medical school. And again, your advisors here, particularly at the Health Professions Office, are going to help you with figuring out what all of those options are for you. So let's jump one more, which I think is our thank Thank you. And my contact information is on this slide. But it's a good time for us to throw this open to more questions. I will address one that I know often comes up. I've tried to mention that you can do any major you're interested in. And there really isn't an advantage to one major or another. Obviously, it's nice when your major has coursework for pre-med requirements that overlap, but that's not necessarily even required. A lot of students will fit the pre-med courses in with any major they're interested in the 120 credits for graduation. The other question that comes up frequently is the question of a BA degree versus a BS degree. So the Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science. Medical schools and dental schools don't distinguish between them. They're more interested in the work you've done and the major and all of those other pieces. So they don't naturally preference something that is a BA or a BS in particular. So let me invite back my colleagues, and let's see what kinds of questions you have for us, how we can help you figure out how SEBS fits into your plans.
Thank you so much, Dean Traxler. This information was so informative, and I'm hoping that our students learned a lot about the opportunities available for health professions within the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences and all the resources at the institution for students that are interested in going into these careers. I would love to go over and see the results from our poll. So I'm going to share my screen, and if my panelists could just confirm if they're able to see the results on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone who's joining us today, because we do appreciate your time and your participation today. So I see we have a lot of New Jersey students logging in from Marlborough, Hunterdon, South Plainfield, and Voorhees, Bayonne, and someone typed from at home, which hopefully that is where you
everyone
and you are. Yes, everyone is home, right? I see we have some Delaware as well, New York, Long Island, and we have some folks who didn't answer, but we also see San Francisco Bay Area. Hopefully you have a little bit better weather than we are, because our weather seems to be a little inconsistent today. So in terms of the majors of interest, I see a good array. So Dean Traxler, this could hopefully maybe spark up some really great conversations and questions. I see students interested in animal science, biology, pre-med track, biochemistry. And I see some cell biology and neuroscience, exercise science, and nutrition. So I'm really glad to see all these programs and majors of interest, because we do often have students with the presumptions that you only need to follow a bio degree in order to go into medical school. So this is really great to see that there's different interests with our students. And now finally, we're going to see you're a night or morning person. I thought this was fun just because I think this entire quarantine has shifted everyone's sleeping schedule. I don't know about you, but I'm up very late, and usually my bedtime is 9 o'clock in the morning, but I thought it'd be a fun question to ask. So I see some folks are neither, so you're flexible, and most folks I see are night and morning. So I do see some folks that it varies by time. So thank you. These were really fun answers to see, and I'm glad that you're all willing and able to participate. Before we continue moving into the Q&A, Dean Traxler, I wanted to address some questions from students who missed some of the sessions that we had last week. I'm sorry, this earlier this week. And I wanted to make sure that I address some of the questions that we have from them. So some of the students who missed any of with our other faculty members that we hosted on Monday and Tuesday, and if you even missed the one that we had earlier today at 3 p.m., just know that all of these sessions are being recorded. So we will host and load all of these recordings online so that students can access them, go back to them if there's something that was unclear that you want to review, or if you just missed it altogether. So we will have them, all of the sessions, not any one in particular. So I wanted to make sure students knew that. And then there was one question from a student who wanted to know if they would be able to participate in the pre-dental organization, the Pre-Dental Society at SCBS, even if they are an SAS student. And I just wanted to let them know that that is definitely an option for students at SAS, even though the organization was created by SCBS students. The organization and the society welcomes any student from Rutgers University who's interested in a medical, dental, or medical related career. So they are open to the Rutgers community, not just the SCBS community. So as I shift my screens here, I'm going to put your contact information back on the screen just so that we can also reference any slides that students may have and pertaining to any particular questions. So as I shift here, apologize for the wait. So we had some questions from students asking about the bio major and being on the pre-med track. And I know this is a very, very popular question that we get from students. So Dean Traxler or Dean Ventola, if any of you would like to just talk about the opportunities for bio majors on the pre-med track and the opportunities available through SEBS and at Rutgers University, that'd be great because we got a number of questions about that on the chat.
Sure. I mean, I'm happy to just start with the bio major, as you'd expect, is the most popular major for students who are going into health professions. That makes sense just because that's often where student interest is. And the bio major is a nice broad one. It takes advantage of the fact that there are quite a few life sciences, different departments at Rutgers, and really encourages students to take courses in all of those areas. So it really makes the student a strong generalist. Dean Ventola is one of our bio advisors, so I really should toss to him and see if he wants to tell you a little bit about the bio major, which we know prepares students really well for health careers.
Thank you, Dean Traxler. Yes, the bio major is actually one of always the top 3 majors at Rutgers. It's typically right up there in the top 3. And the reason it is because, as Dean Traxler says, you could do a lot of things with it. And when you get into the elective part of the major, you can kind of tailor your interests. And there's pre-med related classes in there, systems physiology, immunology, microbiology, and so forth. So that's why it's such a popular major for pre-med, but also many other things as well. And I just do want to reiterate that you can actually be any major going into pre-med, which Dean Traxler already addressed. But pre-med is one of a very popular major, and you'll also get a lot of assistance and a lot of support advising in that major as well.
I think we had a question about minors, and I should mention that as an SCBS student, you have 21 different majors to choose from. Again, we share a few of our majors, but you can take advantage of minors and second majors in pretty much most of the other New Brunswick schools. So we do encourage you early on to think about where you might want to do some other work. The biology major or any of our majors don't require a minor, but there's some wonderful minors, both at SEBS, like our sustainability minor, and in other places in New Brunswick, like the psychology minor at School of Arts and Sciences, or the business administration minor at the business school. So we do really encourage our students to take advantage of the vast amount of options that exist across Rutgers, New Brunswick. And that way you can, again, tailor your own education to take advantage of enjoying things. A minor could be something that connects with your interest in a health career. It could also just be something you're really interested in. I've had a good number of students who are, say, a bio major and a dance minor. And they use the time at Rutgers to really enjoy those other types of things that they can study now, but maybe know they're not going to be studying when they get to medical school or dental school or out into their career field.
Great. Thank you so much, Dean Traxler. Maybe if I may ask Dean Pichera to answer this question from one of our guests who's asking if you can talk a little bit about the SCBS student requirement for a foreign language. And they also asked for SAS students and SCBS students, do we have to take the foreign language placement exam?
So for SEBS, our students are not required to take a language. So you don't have to take the placement exam for a language at SEBS. If you choose to, let's say, minor in a language, you may be required to do so. It depends on your coursework from high school. Also depends if you're a native speaker. So if you are coming into SEBS, you don't need to take any language placement tests. However, if you're thinking about going to another school, let's say SAS, it is required. So you would have to plan out for the future if you're going to transfer schools. But within SEBS, you don't have to take the placement test at all.
Thank you so much, Dean Pichera. Dean Traxler, if I can call upon you to answer a question from one of our attendees. They would like to know, how does a BA rather than a BS affect your acceptance into medical school?
Sure. I mean, this is always a big question as students are weighing their choices. The idea of the BA versus a BS isn't really taken into consideration by the medical schools. They really want to look at what the student did. So they look at the quality of the education, they look at the coursework, they look obviously at the testing, MCATs, DATs, they look at the student's activities, they look at clinical exposure. The fact that the student did a BA degree or a BS degree doesn't really enter into their thinking about the student as a candidate. So I always, again, recommend that students look at the majors that they're interested in and make sure that they're pursuing a rigorous course of study that's going to really well prepare them for med school. But whether they've gotten a BA or BS isn't really an issue.
Thank you so much, Dean Traxler. And we had another question from a student who wanted to know some questions regarding the animal science program. If you don't mind, give me 1 second as I'm sorry, I lost the question here, so I do apologize for that. But I do recall that some students were asking about obtaining a scholarship to go to vet school, and if that was an option for them. And the other part of the question, sorry about that. Okay, is it possible to earn a scholarship for vet school? And which vet schools have previous students been accepted to? So students who are applying into veterinary school have options to apply for scholarships outside of Rutgers that will help them to pursue that particular endeavor. And we have had a number of students who have gone to UPenn, Tufts, schools in Maryland and Virginia and Delaware. We don't have a vet school in the state of New Jersey, but we are a very competitive program, and many of our students have gone on to very prestigious vet schools to pursue their degrees. About 75% of our most competitive applicants that are our most competitive graduates from SCBS go on to vet school. And what that means is that basically is comprised of a student that has about a 3.4 higher GPA. So if you maintain your grades and you succeed and do well academically at Rutgers, with your education and the hands-on experience that you will obtain from the school and all the opportunities available through the animal science program, you're more than likely going to be very equipped to pursue those endeavors once you graduate from Rutgers. Dean Traxler, I don't know if you'd like to add anything further.
I'd like to add something
please.
real quick. We actually do have undergraduate scholarships at SCBS for actually pre-vet students. So we have a process where students can apply. It's an open process applications, and there are a fair number of pre-vet animal science or pre-vet scholarships.
Thank you so much, Dean Ventola. The student was specifically asking for scholarships to help them be able to use them when they're going to vet school. But if you can maybe shed a little bit more light upon the scholarship opportunities and when they are available for students who are at SCBS, I think that would be great for students to know that there's a number of ways for them to offset their cost of tuition, even after they've enrolled and completed a year of studies at Rutgers and the School of Environmental and Biological Science.
Yes, thank you, Dean Smith. Yes, there are a number of scholarships, and just again clarify that scholarships I was speaking about is for our school. And as Dean Smith said, there's other scholarships outside for when you go to actually vet school. But what actually happens is every February in the spring semester, we have an application process for SCBS scholarships, and students can apply. And a number of students do get awarded scholarships anywhere from $500 to $1,000, $2,000. And that's based on what a student does at SCBS at Rutgers. And that does help significantly a lot of our students, along with their financial aid opportunities, to help afford Rutgers and the different expenses.
Thank you so much, Dean Ventola. Dean Traxler, I believe the next question will be great for you to answer. Our guest would like to know if you can talk a little bit more about the entry into the 7-year dental program.
Sure, absolutely. Let me actually talk about it in a broad way. So there are 3 accelerated programs, 2 medical and 1 dental. All 3 of them are programs where the student applies at the end of their 2nd year at Rutgers. So they're not ones where an entering student would be committing to them yet. They follow the same curriculum that they would follow in planning to go on to any dental or medical program. So they're taking general biology, general chemistry, organic chemistry across the first 2 years, which is pretty much the standard track for any student heading into those health professions. And then they apply at the end of sophomore year. If they're admitted to the program, they finish up their undergraduate coursework or most of it in their junior year, and then shift over to the dental school or the medical school in what would have been their 4th year. So it cuts a year off of their time in college and in their professional program. As you'd expect, they're really competitive programs, so they take top students. So we help students interested in those programs early on prepare for that application, because they need to kind of hit the ground running in terms of strong grades, experience in the field, extracurriculars, and letters of recommendation. So I always recommend that students are connected to the health professions office really early in their time once they're actually on campus, just to make sure that they get all the pieces together for those applications, because they're competitive.
Thank you so much, Dean Traxler. And we had one question earlier from a student who wanted to know if we can shed a little bit of light on what a typical workload for a pre-med a student in the pre-med track would be like. And I know that that's a very kind of broad question, because we have students in so many different disciplines pursuing a pre-med track. But if there's anything that you may be able to share, or Dean Ventola, just from your interactions with students who are on this track and you meet with and advise on a daily basis at SCBS, I think that could help our students to kind of get an understanding of what a day in the life as a pre-med track and maybe X major would look like.
I'm certainly happy to weigh in, and then hopefully Dean Ventola can jump in too. Our students come in and they are, one of, actually, I should mention that I warned students about in the transition is that they need to come and they need to settle into the science courses and expect to be challenged a little bit. You've all been very strong students. That's why we want you to be part of our community. But studying general bio, studying chemistry at college is going to really force you to take that up a notch and to work a little bit more independently, to work a lot in more depth than you may be used to. So students do come in, and we do like them to not try to overdo initially. So they're taking those intro courses, they're probably taking their writing course and math. And that doesn't sound like a very busy schedule, and yet it's pretty challenging for new students. I will mention the other piece to advising is that we really do work with students individually to make sure that they're taking the coursework they need, but they're taking it in ways that make sense to them. And they're really getting a chance to explore the different majors while they're taking those courses. So much like there isn't one particular major you have to do for medical school, there isn't one particular path you have to follow in terms of when you take the coursework. So a lot of times students see bio and chem across the first year, organic and physics across the second year. That certainly works, but that isn't always the plan for every student. So the bio advisors and certainly the health professions advisors work with students to make a plan that makes sense for them, help support what they want to do here in terms of their major and their planning, but then also make sure that they get a good start in really rigorous coursework.
Dean Traxler answered that very thoroughly, and I would just also add that you're going to also get a first-year advisor at SCBS, a person who's going to help you tremendously. I can't emphasize the importance that our role as advisors, as deans, is to help support your success. And a lot of times, it's really not about doing the fast sprint; it's about the long view, the marathon. And we've found over the years that when students start off at Rutgers, take a manageable course load and start to do well, there are other semesters after that, they're able to add a little bit more to their plate. And it's really about starting well, getting the support that you need, and understanding the system, and putting in a good effort. And we're happy to say that a lot of our Rutgers students do very well. And a lot of the students do go to pre-vet and medical school. So we're here to support your way. As Dean Traxler said, there's not one way for every student. It's a very individualized way that's going to work for you specifically. And that's what we're here to do, is to help you, to be successful. That's our main role, is that you do well, enjoy Rutgers. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dean Ventola. Since I have you already on, I would like for you to shed a little bit of light and talk to our guests about the courses through the biology major, because we have a student who feels that they want to know if there's any difference between biology and biological sciences. And so if you can maybe talk a little bit about the courses, the major itself is biology. And the department is biological sciences. So if you could just talk about that so the students can get a clearer understanding.
Yes, the actual degree itself for Rutgers students is the biological sciences. And it's if you go to our website too, you'll see all the requirements. But essentially, if I gave you the kind of the thumbnail sketch here, is that you're going to be taking those basic sciences, biology and chemistry, organic and physics, the same sciences that you have for any science. So it does come in where students may come in as biology or biochemistry or animal science, and they change to within the sciences. And why this is such a really good thing for our students is that you can easily switch to another science major without getting behind because you already started off with those same sciences. If you do stay with biology, and what a lot of students do, some students change from biology to biochem or other sciences. If you do stay with bio, where the fun really starts is our 24 bioelective credits. And what that means is instead of just taking all areas in microbiology or animal science as you would for a particular science, you're going to take a little bit of everything. You're going to take some cell biology and neuroscience, genetics, molecular biology and biochemistry, ecology, and you also have choices in exercise science, animal science, biotechnology, and so forth. And so again, that second part there within biology, you're gonna kind of pick the classes that interest you. And if it's pre-med, we have students take systems physiology, immunology, microbiology. It's really kind of wide open. And that's where the students really start to the major itself is tremendous and really start to enjoy the major. So bio is one science of many sciences at Rutgers, and SCBS has a strong program in all of these areas. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think you did really well, Dean Ventola. And actually, I'm sorry to keep you on, but there's a lot of questions about scholarships. So I want to make sure that you clarify some things for our guests. So we have some student that's asking about the scholarships you previously mentioned for pre-vet students as well as other SCBS enrolled students. And so they want to make sure, they want to know if a student has to already be attending Rutgers in order to apply for these scholarships, or if they can apply as a first-year student. So I just want to make sure that you clarify a little bit further into the requirements in terms of enrollment requirements to be eligible for the scholarships offered through the Office of Academic Programs at SCBS.
Okay, thank you again. What will actually happen is I'm speaking about the enrolled scholarship. So let me start from the first point that's important to know is that the first year scholarships through Rutgers are administrated by the Rutgers University Admissions Office. And those are pretty competitive based on your grades and so forth. So those are scholarships you can't apply for. It's automatically determined by the admissions office. Within that too, we have for SCBS first year scholarships, we have what's called Hellier House. It's a place where for 40 students with cooperative living and their scholarships attached. If you have an interest in cooperative living, you can look at our website. And then finally, the enrolled student scholarships where I come on board is our sophomores. You have to be an enrolled sophomore student, junior or senior to apply for these. And those are applied through the spring of each year. So you actually have to be an SCBS student. Just so you know, SAS has the same process. The School of Engineering has all school-based schools at Rutgers all have their own process for scholarships. I happen to work with the SCBS scholarships. One last thing about this, I do recommend that when you're applying to different schools, there's a number of external scholarships at your high school or place of where you worship or your place where your parents work. I do recommend that you try some of those outside scholarships because you may be surprised. You might get something there, maybe some extra help, financially. And finally, the financial aid office is the number one area that helps students support to be funded at Rutgers. So I recommend that you go to that website and you could speak to financial aid advisors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dean Ventola. Dean Traxler, We have a question from a student, and I know Dean Pichera was answering this on the chat, but I want to make sure that if anyone on the listening in on the webinar also has the opportunity to know and hear the answer to the question. So the student would like to know about the advantages of being in the SCBS honors program in comparison to just being a SCBS general student. So if you can shed some light on that, that'd be great.
Sure. I mean, I think broadly, one of the things I always recommend for students coming into a place the size of Rutgers is that you figure out how to find your communities. SCBS is a great community just overall, but I also, any other opportunities, whether it's through an honors program or through a learning community for your residential life, those are great ways to meet a lot more people, to get connected to faculty. Our honors program is very research focused. So students who enter the honors program need to do additional credits in research. They work with a faculty mentor. So it's meant to give you more opportunities and more ways of connecting in and having that support on campus. So I don't necessarily think it's going to feel like a tremendous amount more work, but it will give you more access to opportunities. But again, you're working with advisors to make sure that you're creating a balanced schedule and that you're connecting to all Rutgers opportunities. Because the other problem with the big places is you don't always know all of the things that would be great opportunities for you. So again, we have you connect back into advisors who can help you find those smaller communities like honors or like the health and medical program that through Residence Life, students who want to live on campus, there's a health and med community. So we definitely recommend all of those options as ways that aren't going to be over too much work for you, but will give you another supportive community.
Thank you so much, Dean Traxler. Since you're already speaking, if you can go back and reiterate some of our med school stats. We have some students who were asking about that, and I'll go ahead and I know Dean Pichera was also sharing the link, but I'll go ahead and put this on the screen as well so we can follow.
Sure. Oh, sure. Most places should be giving you multiple types of stats when you ask them for stats. I tend to be suspicious when places give you only one set because what we do is we represent all total applicants, which is the total number, which is a 51% acceptance rate. So that's students who may or may not be well prepared, may or may not have competitive scores. But when you look at Rutgers students who are competitive applicants, so that is going to be in the 3.5 to 4.0 GPA, usually with around a 5.12 MCAT, we have between a 66 and a 74% acceptance rate. The higher is going to be obviously students with strong science coursework. So the BCPM is basically the average of the biochemistry, math, and physics coursework. So strong science students with a good MCAT, again, around a 5.12 is what we're looking for. We have a fairly high 74% acceptance rate, which is higher than the national average for similar students. For dental, I'm always happy to show the competitive number as well because we have an even more outstanding acceptance rate there, looking at a 94% acceptance rate with the students in those competitive 3.5 to 4.0 GPA. Students with the lower GPA, still you're looking at a 72 or an 89% acceptance rate. So a lot of it does speak to how well prepared our students are for their medical or dental coursework.
Great, thank you so much. So at this moment, we have a few more minutes before we end our session. I would like to just welcome any other questions, outstanding questions that students may have.
I realized I mentioned that we share majors. We have 3 majors that we share. One is biological sciences, one is exercise science, and one is public health. So our students do those majors, but we share them with School of Arts and Sciences and the Blaustein School. So what that means to you, if you're interested in those majors, is that they're the same major offered to students at the other schools, exact same courses, exact same faculty, but we share them and we share those resources. So that can be a little bit confusing about Rutgers because you see some of the majors listed in multiple schools.
Yeah, that is a very good thing to mention, Dean Traxler, because I know there are a lot of confusions with students when they do see that. They're like, where do I enroll, or what's the difference between both of those programs? So I see that Dean Pichera and Dean Ventola have been sharing many of the links that we've been talking to you about live for financial aid and these stats. So you all can reference those at your leisure. So you can peruse our websites. They're very informative and have more details about everything we've been discussing. I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to ask any questions. So I will check to see if anyone else has anything else outstanding. Doesn't seem like anyone's asking anything at the moment, but Dean Traxler, if there's any last minute words, anything that you'd like to share with the group, you can do so now, and maybe that'll give our guests a little bit of more wiggle room to ask some outstanding questions.
Sure. Like I said early on, I'm always happy when students already have some interest and some thoughts about going on to clinical health careers, because I think those can be really amazing. But again, I like to have our students not feel too stressed out right now, because you're not applying to medical school right now. So that means that you have the time and the space to come to college, to really get a chance to see who you're going to become, what majors and careers make sense to you, what opportunities you have. I think very often when you're coming through high school, you don't really have a good sense of all of the different options out in the world. And that really is the benefit to coming to a place that has a broad amount of offerings. You really get that time and that experience to really, even if you've known forever that you want to be a doctor, it gives you a chance to really delve into that and to take some of the clinical exposure and really get to see what that means, but also to try some other things as well. I think some of the strongest applications and applicants I've spoken with are the ones who can talk about why they know that this is what they want to do. And that almost always includes things like, I tried other things, I looked at other options, and I just, and I can explain to you why medicine is the path for me. It makes a much more compelling application than the student who says, well, I never looked at anything else and I've never, followed another path. So I do think that's one of the benefits to coming to Rutgers, is that you do get to do that exploration and be certain about your choices.
Thank you so much, Dean Traxler. I think that was beautifully said. Dean Ventola, is there any last minute words you'd like to share with our audience?
Sure. I just want to say thank you for joining us, and we hope that you do pick CBS. And I can say honestly that you're going to get a lot of support, and it's an excellent experience inside the classroom and also outside the classroom. We have a really small community within the large Rutgers, so you get to experience both, and a lot of students like that combination. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. If we can help you in the future, you're always welcome.
Thank you so much, Dean Ventola. Dean Pichera?
So just wanted to let you guys know that, coming into your first semester at college, you want to use your advisors, you want to talk to us. We're not like the department you go to for damage control later. You want to keep coming to us and communicating with us. And this way, we want to ensure that you're successful, from the start of your career to the end of your career. So during your first semester, we'll guide you through your classes, we'll pick them out with you, we'll make sure that you have a healthy schedule, and we make sure that you have a very healthy first semester here at SEBS. So hope to see you soon, guys.
Thank you so much, Dean Pichera. Before I pass it back to Dean Traxler to conclude our event, I would just like to underscore and share the same sentiments that my colleagues have shared as well with you. We're excited and thrilled that you've been admitted to Rutgers and the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences, and that you're considering us as one of your options. We understand that this is a difficult time and the circumstances are making it hard for us to meet in person. And even though you've just been recently admitted, know that we already consider you as part of our community. So myself, and I know that I can speak on behalf of my colleagues, we're here to support you as you make your decisions. We want to make sure we answer all your questions. There may be some outstanding questions that may come up after this event, but you have Dean Traxler's email, but you can also reach out to us and visit our website at scbs.rutgers.edu, chat with us live from 8:30 to 5 p.m. Monday through Fridays. You can email us at advising@scbs.rutgers.edu. And myself and the rest of my colleagues will be more than glad to assist you in this process. We wish you the best of luck. Congratulations again on your admissions, and we look forward to meeting you soon. Dean Traxler?
Yeah, I don't have much more to add. Absolutely, as Dean Smith said, reach out to us. We know that the May 1st deadline is starting to loom and that you're really trying to dig through and figure out what all of your options are, where are the places that you feel like you're ready to commit to being your home for the next 4 years. We hope you'll give us a good look and think about our community. We're very excited to have you join our community. So please reach out, make sure that if you have questions about us, because we are a confusing place, that you've gotten answers and that you're really getting a good sense of what Rutgers and what SCBS would have in store for you. So thank you again. Stay safe, stay home, and we look forward to actually seeing you in person on campus in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.